So now that we've had a tour of this main opening page of the Meet Manager program, I want to give you a little tour of the Run the Meet page. There's a lot of similarity and overlap. So I'm going to take the mouse, I'm going to go up to Run, and I'm going to click. Because I'm not connected to the Colorado, this error message comes up. I'm just going to get rid of it. And this is the Run the Meet screen. Again, I'm in the 2016 RMSC Holiday Invitational up here on the left. I'm going to briefly go through all the tabs, but just a quick overview. The left here is the event list. Right now it's for all events. Over on the upper right, we have splits. Here we have team scores or records. We have some shortcut buttons in the middle of the screen that we will be using here and over here. And then finally at the bottom, we have the swimmers, names, team, and times. I'm going to pick an event that's already been seated in the appropriate lane and heat. So back to the upper left to the various tabs. Again, the tabs are words or icons, and they're the same. So this is the events menu. I tend to like using the word tabs. So I'm going to open events. Just like on the previous screen that I showed you for events, these are all the events that are in the Meet. These events are typically set up by Meet Management and aren't anything that the high-tech operator needs to adjust or modify. So I'm going to close this out. Athletes. If I click on this tab here, this shows all the athletes who are listed in the Meet. You can sort them by last name, and that's sort of, I'm going to close this out because I don't want to do any editing yet. By last name, first name, any of these columns are sortable. By teams, I'm sorry. Going to get back into that, back into the Meet, into the Run menu, and back to athletes. So I can sort it in any different way here, but typically, and the default is by last name alphabetically. I could also select just the male swimmers, the female swimmers, or both, and I can actually also just select all the swimmers on a particular team. So here, by putting Delaware Swim Team up in this tab, the only swimmers that will be displayed are swimmers who are on the Delaware Swim Team. So all the swimmers are listed in the center portion, and for a swimmer that's selected, so if I select Emerson DeBacke, in the bottom it will list all the eligible events for that swimmer. The ones that are yellowed with the SEL or selected button tab selected are events that this particular athlete is entered into. It's got the entry time. If it's already been seated, it'll give you the heat and the lane. So this swimmer is in 5 different events. If I want to see them all, I can open this screen so that I have a better view. Now I'm just going to make it a little smaller here. So if I click on an athlete, again, it will show me all the eligible events. It'll show me the entries. And up on top, we have the last name, the first name, the middle initial for the athlete, a preferred name, sometimes there's a nickname, the birth date, the age. This is the USA Swimming Registration ID number, which is made using the birth date, 071007, which is the birth date, the first 3 letters of the first name, EME, the middle initial, G, and the last name, the first 4 letters. So that's how the USA Swimming ID is made. The gender and normal status. So that's the athlete. Just click OK. I can find my way around the various athletes by using these tabs. So if I click the J tab, it'll give me the first alphabetically last name starting with J, and then I can go down and scroll down and look at the various athletes that are entered into the meet. We'll talk more about the athlete screen later on when we add athletes to the meet. The Relay tab, it's just like on the previous set of menus. This lists all the relays that are in the meet. So in the upper left here, we have all the various relay events. For the event that's selected, these are the teams that are entered in the middle. These are the eligible athletes. So this is a women's 13-14 medley relay. So these are the women who are 13-14 who are eligible to swim in the relay. This is how they actually will be swimming. Bergman, Navarrete, Opapari, and Reddish are the 4 swimmers who are entered in this particular order. And over here in the bottom right are teams that can be added to the relay. So that's the relay screen. The seating screen, which we'll spend more time with later, is how we do the positive check-ins. So our Thursday distance has 4 unseated events, and we'll talk more about this later. If I go to Friday prelims, most of the events, or at least a number of the events, have already been seated. So we'll spend more time with this screen later. The web is when you use real-time results. It's to put in various parameters. We really don't use that very much. You don't need to worry about that. The swim off button helps create swim offs when you have a prelim final meet. You need to do a swim off. The rescore and combine we really won't be using. Reports, there are a lot of reports here. Session report is the timeline. Psych sheets, meet program, meet check-in, lane timer sheets. We'll talk more about some of the reports later. The label tab, just like on the previous screen, you can use this for award labels or for relay entries. Preferences, this sets the preferences for our reports, results for list and score, which I'll show you in a minute. For the run screen itself, right now the run screen on my computer is set up to show a backup times column, DQ code column, and we ask for the splits to be shown, not records right now. So that's what's been selected. So this is how you set preferences. Interfaces we'll talk about a little bit when we have to interface with the timing system, and that's what this tab is for. The OW module you won't be using, it's open water. Meet Mobile you might be using, and if so, I can show you a little bit later about Meet Mobile. And this is help. Just like on the previous screen, you've got contents, index, search, just like a lot of other computer programs, and it's very helpful. So that's basically the screen. So as I said, in the upper left you have an event list. Right now the sessions are not selected, so this includes all the various events that are in this meet. I'm going to actually pick one here that's seated, a relay. So for event 5, the women's 13-14 200-yard medley relay, it's actually only one heat. It says one heat. This tab helps you go between meets, between heats, which I'll show you in a little bit. But these are the teams and these are the lanes in that heat. I will show you the subtracted, the split screen, either the subtracted splits or the cumulative splits and team scores later on when I pull up a meet that's already been run. Here we have some shortcuts, and we'll use some of them during the course of our training. If I click the sessions, these are the various sessions in the meet. All events, Thursday distance, there's a Friday prelims 13 and over, Friday prelims 12 and under, Friday finals, etc. So if I select one of these, so example the Friday prelims 12 and under, and click OK, it's going to limit the events to the particular session that I have selected. So that makes it much easier when you're running a meet just to keep tabs on where you are. Refresh, just as an FYI, is used when multiple computers are networked. If you hit the refresh button, it just gives you the most up-to-date database. Relay names, if I click that, this is for this particular event, so it's Event 9 Women's 11-12 200-yard medley. These are the various teams, these are the eligible athletes, and then you can add them in the order they're swimming. So you see RMSC has a lot more eligible athletes than Hydrosonic Tiburones, so we'll talk more about that later. Adjust, we'll talk about. This is a screen that shows the swimmers in the swim teams in the various lanes, and we can use this screen to move swimmers around if they swim in a different place, etc. Again, we'll get to this more later. Awards, don't usually use. The calc button is used to adjust times. We'll talk more about that later. JD stands for judge. This is used when you do a swim off to judge what place ultimately the swimmer finishes based on the swim off results. Race and get times are used to pull the data from the timing system. We'll talk more about this. List the results of an event, and if it's a scored event, you can create the results by using the score button. Re-rank and rescore reorders things, and the previous event or the next event just moves things through the menu. And then, as I said, down here you have the heat with the entries. If I go to an event that has more heats, you'll see over here this event has 5 heats, and if we scroll between heats, heat 1, now we're in heat 2, heat 3, these are the swimmers in their appropriate lanes, lanes 1 through 10, 4, and 5. And so that's your basic tour of the Run the Meet screen.